I'm back for Dusty S's ongoing coverage of the Blast TV Austin Major. I'm here on the media day ahead of playoffs with YEKINDAR. So congratulations on making stage three. We already talked, of course, after your amazing qualification. So I wanted to start by asking you, what's the team been up for the last 2 days since we last talked to Furia?
We had one free day, and every other day we're doing practice. We're playing 5 scrims, different maps against strong teams, against teams that are in playoffs, and we're preparing for the game. We have our understanding of what are gonna be the maps, and we're getting ready for the game.
And do you feel like the practice went well? Or are you feeling confident ahead of your run into playoffs?
Yeah, I think the practice is good. I feel like a little bit. Uh, Actually, no. I think the practice is being really good. We're playing against really strong opposition. We're making it either close or we're winning, or one map we lost. But other than that, I think everybody is slowly getting into the shape again because how many days? 5 days? Five days of break between stages. This is something that can doze you off, you know.
When we've talked to you and we've had a chance to talk to Fallen as well, they said a big part of this team's success is that the introduction of new ideas, especially taking Furia in a more European direction with having you and Molodoi on the squad. An understated element of that transition is the addition of your two assistant coaches, Krisen, who's the most recent addition, and Hepa, who's been here, I believe, since the start of the year, a little bit earlier than that. Starting to focus on Krisen, as someone who comes from that same sort of neck of the woods as you, how important is he as an assistant coach to the squad, and do you think he has helped ease this transition to a more European style of play?
Yeah, I think the two, both Hepa and Krisen is great additions. I think they're right now they're sharing a lot of, I feel like, analyst responsibilities. I think Krisen has been doing a lot of how do you say it? Um, behind the scenes work with Sid as like the assistant coach, and kind of focusing on things that Sid needs as a coach for us and everything. Focusing on the material. It's always easy to talk to them in terms of like, oh, I need something, boom, it's gonna happen in like half an hour. They're just gonna do it really fast. So this is like a super supportive element of staff that can help you at any moment. I think one of them, for me, the best things that they were both pointing out is something that, hey, for example, you're missing this grenade, like, or whatever, because sometimes when you're practicing, you don't notice something that you're fucking up, and I think they're doing an amazing job with it. In terms of like specifically stylistical play or like more European way of playing or whatever, I think it comes a lot from Molodoi, from Fawn being open to ideas. From me, I think both Krisen and Hepa have some inputs in that, but I feel like it more comes from the newer players. But I think both Krisen and Hepa are amazing.
Looking towards the big story of this tournament for Furia is the fact that Furia, the typical Brazilian squad is going to be taking on paiN Gaming in the playoffs, who's another Brazilian squad. And that's obviously a big moment for the Brazilian scene because it's the first time since 2017 we've seen two Brazilian squads in playoffs. However, you're kind of completely separate from that as a as a Latvian player. You're not sort of part of the narrative of the Brazilian versus Brazilian civil war, the storylines. These kids grew up watching Fallen playing, so it's like taking on the godfather of Brazilian CS. So I was hoping to get from you maybe a more objective assessment of how you're feeling about that match. How is Furia feeling about the upcoming Showdown versus paiN when you sort of strip away all of the narrative and all of the sort of cultural and nationalistic elements of it?
I think both teams are ready to play each other. I think for paiN, it's a great opportunity to go for the godfather of Brazilian SCS, and at the same time, I feel like for Fallen, after 6 years of no major playoffs, qualifying into playoffs, and then playing a Brazilian squad, I think both teams are already ready. And maybe first couple of days when you know this, maybe in the first day when you know the seeding, you're like, oh, we're playing paiN, like, oh, how it's gonna go, like, or whatever. Now it's like, we already had practice, and honestly, it doesn't really matter who we're gonna play. Yeah, it's only important of how we're gonna be, how are we gonna show up in the playoffs, and that's the most important part.
And then speaking about that seeding, I think a lot of teams are on the lookout for Vitality as a team that seems to always, always, always rise to the occasion in playoffs and are able to come back from, poor starts, back from a map down in a best of three, etc. Was it a relief for you guys to kind of be on the opposite side of the bracket from Vitality, or was that something you even considered when you saw the seeding for the major playoffs?
If I would be to win a major, I would rather win a major playing Vitality, Navi, Spirit, or like what in all the strongest opposition possible, because that would be more dominant if I would be win the major. But you cannot control the bracket, and especially because favorites lost in the stage before. We went 3-0 when we were not supposed to go 3-0. Vitality lost to Legacy when they were not supposed to, kind of in theory, lose to Legacy, and everything makes a bracket like it is. I think it's of course easier to be on the lower side of the bracket, but it's major. All teams are dangerous, and everything can happen.
All right, that's YEKINDAR from Furia ahead of the start of playoffs. Thank you so much for your time.